I mean, yeah, and I feel like, you touched on a lot of things, right? I mean, so to me, AI, definitely will have an impact, on the way that we think and, might help to lead us down a path of, creating something that maybe we would have given up on, overall. I also think that um having broader minds to think not just about the biotechnology sector from a pharmaceutical standpoint, but also more largely, how does this touch, mankind,
Hmm.
overall? And like you said, whether it's, you know, um, bringing back extinct species or helping food crops, I think, certainly are all, within the realm of things to be to, overall, think about whenever you think about the future of where this could lead. So, yes.
100%. Yeah.
So, there's been somebody that's routinely been, joining us live, especially I think on Thursday mornings, and just kind of watching, these live recordings, and I added this question more or less because it keeps coming up, overall. And so, what advice would you give to somebody that's looking to get into biotechnology today? So, what would you say to them that, hey, look, here's my advice in terms of getting started?
I would say one, don't think you have to go a certain path. Don't think you did your PhD and now all you need to do is go into an R&D job or a tech job, something like that. I think the possibilities are immense, right? Understand what your strengths are. And if you do feel like, and this, I have to give a shout out to someone named Lucas Leindecker, who is one of the technical product managers in my team. Started off as someone in R&D at Ribbon, and as he started, I think listening to the things we were talking about in town halls about product and commercial, he's an oncologist with a PhD postdoc, came up to me and said, "Hey, I feel like this is interesting. Do you have an opening in product?" And I said, "Yes, we actually do. And I've been, wanting to look at someone quite technical. Come join us." And now he's one of the best product managers that, I've had the honor of maybe mentoring and developing, and I think he has a great future. So I'm like, do it. Grab the opportunity. Think that you can do what you want. You don't need to have, and this is another thing, you don't need to have a formal education in everything that you end up with, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of product managers in biotech have a PhD. That's great. That's fine. But you need to have that commercial acumen. And like you said, the code switching, the understanding what's a customer, how you communicate across various stakeholders, those things start becoming very important. And I think your education will only take you so far, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. And your educational qualifications will only take you so far. So, yep.
Yeah, you had said that you love a good framework, and I mean, education certainly is filled with them, but, um, I to your point, like, okay, so what is your practical application of the framework? Because if you can't think beyond the textbook and the framework, it's also not helpful either. So you have to get out of that academic world and come to the real world and say, "This is how we apply this thing," as well into
A
our life,
hundred
so, yeah.
percent. Absolutely. I think that's really, yeah. And I think one of the best, uh, you know, pieces of advice that I got from one of my mentors at QIAGEN, uh, Paul Outlinger, to give him a shout out as well, was don't, when you have imposter syndrome and you come into a workspace, right? Don't keep thinking these are all my weaknesses and don't get obsessed with these are the things I have to overcome. And, these are the gaps I have to fill. No, sit down, take a step back and think, hey, what are my strengths? Why do people come to me, or what makes me who I am, or what's made me successful so far in the things that I've tried? Understand your strengths and then play to your strengths, if that makes sense, rather than
Right.
getting obsessed with your weaknesses and convincing yourself that you're not good enough. And I think that's actually one of the best pieces of advice that I got, that switched my mindset to I'm only an individual contributor to no, I can actually be a leader in life science and be a leader in product because I'm playing to my strengths. I'm playing to my ability to communicate. I'm playing to my ability to, like I said, manage stakeholders and, be a cheerleader and get people and find some, method in the madness. And then you're like, yeah, those are the things that are going to make me special rather than me going, oh, I've kind of not studied that much biology. I should read all these textbooks. Right. If
Right.
that, which is where my head was at one point, because you're like struggling
Sure.
to keep up technically. You're like, wait, what am I doing? And then you keep beating yourself up because you feel like you're not good enough.
Mm.
And I think you should do that. Understand your strengths, play to them. Don't let them make you like get to your head and become arrogant or whatever, right? But um, believe in yourself. I think so many young people don't. And I'm like, do it. And if you see a job application out there, I get a lot of questions on Reddit and stuff. Sometimes, I'm on some of these subreddits on biotech jobs and things. Don't think, oh, I don't hit 90% of this job description. I'm not going to apply to it. Mate, apply to it if you hit 50%, sometimes
Right.
even 30%. If being a hiring manager, I know when I write down a list of requirements, they're like the unicorn version.
Yeah, right.
Unicorns are not people, but you know what? I'm looking for a
Right.
unicorn.
Yeah.
And this is my wish list.
Mhm.
But if you have 50% of what I'm looking for and show the ability and the need to want to learn and grow to fill the gap that you have. And like I said, play to your strengths. There's a place for you in a team somewhere. But do it.
Absolutely. So, Divya, what inspires you?
I gave you a big speech about that already, Don. Fuzzy mice. No, I think the power of science.
Mm.
I'm completely a science led person. I think, like I told you, I'm actually just coming to the end of my maternity leave. I just had a little boy 3 months ago. Um,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. And I think that's it. We're part of a lot of science based parenting, advice websites and things. And I always think it's unbelievable. The amount that we don't know and the amount that we're looking to find out and the tools that we have now to be able to do that. I can't wait for the next breakthrough. Like I said, I can't wait for the next, cancer drug to come out. I can't wait for the next animal that we save from extinction. I can't wait for us to make cows that fart less and, less methane or whatever, right? I'm like, the creative ways, and this is another thing. People should not think that science is not a creative field.
Mm.
You know, it's fantastic. It is creative because you're coming up with innovative and creative ways to solve problems that the world is having, right? Try to cure hunger, try to make a mosquito that doesn't, transmit malaria or dengue or things like that. Those need creative minds. That needs
Yeah.
creative vision and that needs innovation. And, the fact that I have a chance to work in a space where I interact with people like this or go to places like Symbio Beta and, these conferences and listen to the work that people are doing. Oh man, that inspires me. Definitely.
Very good. What concerns you?
Oh my gosh. And as I'm talking about all this, I'm like, I just had a little boy and I was like, what's the kind of world that we're going to leave him, right? Like,
Mm.
climate change, things like that, extinction, you hear about when you're in the space where you're talking about all the things that you can improve, you're also then very much exposed to all the things that are going wrong, right? And I think that definitely concerns me. It concerns me, what's the kind of world that we're going to leave to our children.
Yeah.
Um, but I'd like to think that we're going to bring these children up or the next generation up with the right set of skills to come up with those creative solutions that we're working on already, right? And hopefully AI can help with and accelerate those discoveries. Um, yeah, you need to have hope though, even though there
Mhm.
is concern.
Absolutely. Last question, what excites you?
I think it's that. I think is what is the next thing that we're going to come up with? How are we going to change something and drastically change the way we live and we work? And I'm just excited to see what that is. Every day is school day, right? Like you learn something new and you're so excited. And I think another thing is like cynical. Yes, I did say I'm cynical about certain things, but I would also tell people a big piece of advice would be keep your be childlike, not childish, be childlike, keep your
Mhm.
sense of wonder, keep your sense of asking why, what can I change? What can I do different? 'Cause that's what makes us human. And I think that's what also fuels that creative and that innovative spirit to keep making a change, right?